There exists a peculiar myth in our modern world, a deception that has captured millions of souls seeking transformation. They believe that change comes through grand gestures, through dramatic overhauls of their entire existence, through the complete demolition of who they are in service of who they might become. But this is the shadow speaking, the part of us that craves the spectacular, the immediate, the miraculous. This is the ego's fantasy of transformation, not the soul's wisdom. Carl Jung understood something profound about the human psyche that our instant gratification culture has forgotten. He once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. But becoming who you are, this process of individuation, is not achieved through violent revolution of the self. It unfolds through what the alchemists called the opus contra naturam, the work against nature, performed not in dramatic bursts, but in small, consistent acts of conscious choice." Today, we descend into the depths of what I call the 1% rule, the understanding that transformation occurs not through the loud proclamations of the conscious mind, but through the quiet accumulation of tiny choices that compound into something magnificent. These are not mere habits, dear souls. These are rituals of becoming. They are the daily practices that align your conscious intentions with the deeper currents of your unconscious, creating what Jung called a transcendent function, a bridge between who you are and who you are meant to become. In the next 20 minutes, we will explore 10 sacred principles that will fundamentally alter the trajectory of your existence, not through force, but through gentle, persistent pressure applied to the right psychological levers. Are you ready to discover the alchemy of small changes? Rule 1. The Morning Shadow Integration. Every morning, spend 3 minutes writing down one thing you disliked about yourself yesterday. Jung reminds us that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Your shadow, those rejected aspects of yourself, holds immense creative energy when consciously integrated rather than continuously repressed. Most people begin their day avoiding their darkness, scrolling through others' highlight reels, desperately grasping for external validation. But the individual who faces their shadow each morning with curiosity rather than judgment begins to reclaim the psychic energy that was previously locked in unconscious conflict. Imagine Sarah, who discovered through her morning shadow work that her irritation with lazy people was actually her own disowned desire for rest and play. By acknowledging this shadow, she began to integrate both productivity and pleasure, becoming magnetic not through perfection, but through wholeness. This simple practice creates what Jung called the tension of opposites, holding both light and shadow consciously, which generates the psychic energy necessary for authentic transformation. Rule 2. The micro-meditation of presence. Every hour, take 3 conscious breaths and feel your body in space. Your vision becomes clear when you can look into your own heart, Jung observed. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens. The unconscious mind operates in the eternal now. It knows nothing of past or future.
When you anchor yourself in bodily presence throughout the day, you create bridges between conscious awareness and unconscious wisdom. This is not mere relaxation. This is what the mystics called remembering yourself. Each micro-return to presence accumulates into a profound shift in your energetic signature. People begin to sense something different about you, a depth, a rootedness, and attractive groundedness that comes from someone who inhabits their body rather than merely occupying it.
Rule 3. The Daily Death Practice. Each evening, write down one thing you're willing to let die from your day. Jung understood that the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are, but becoming requires the continual death of who you were. Most people cling to their familiar suffering, their known limitations, their comfortable smallness. The daily death practice, letting go of one expectation, one resentment, one limiting belief each day, creates space for the new self to emerge. It's a form of voluntary ego dissolution that prevents the accumulation of psychic debris that keeps us trapped in repetitive patterns. Consider Marcus, who practiced letting go of his need to be right in every conversation. This small daily death transformed his relationships. People began seeking his company because they felt heard rather than corrected. His presence became inviting rather than intimidating.
Rule 4. The question that changes everything. Before each significant interaction, ask yourself, what wants to emerge through me in this moment? Jung spoke of the transcendent function, the bridge between conscious and unconscious that allows new possibilities to emerge. Most people enter interactions with predetermined agendas, trying to extract something from others rather than allowing authentic connection to unfold. This simple question shifts you from manipulation to collaboration with life itself. You become a channel for something larger than your ego's desires. People sense this. They feel met, seen, recognized at a soul level rather than merely encountered as objects for your agenda. When you consistently ask this question, your very presence begins to generate what Jung called numinous experiences in others, encounters with the sacred through relationship with you.
Rule 5. The Art of Strategic Absence. Once daily, practice being completely unavailable for 30 minutes. No phone, no stimulation, no productivity. Jung understood that in all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. The psyche requires emptiness to reorganize itself, to integrate experiences, to generate new insights from the raw material of life. Our addicted culture fears emptiness, equating it with death. But the soul requires what the mystics called the fertile void, spaces of non-doing where unconscious processes can complete themselves. This practice makes you increasingly comfortable with silence, with pauses, with the spaces between words and actions. You develop what Jung called a capacity for solitude, which paradoxically makes your presence more desired by others, because they sense you don't need them in a desperate way. Rule 6. The Embodied Compliment Practice. Daily, give yourself one compliment that acknowledges your body's wisdom. The body is the unconscious, Jung reminded us. Most people have declared war on their physical existence, treating their body as an inconvenient vehicle for their disembodied aspirations. This practice heals the split between mind and body that creates so much modern suffering. When you consistently acknowledge your body's intelligence, its capacity for pleasure, its intuitive knowing, its ability to generate and receive energy, you begin to inhabit yourself fully. Others are unconsciously drawn to this embodied presence. There's something deeply attractive about someone who has made peace with their physical existence, who moves through the world as an integrated being rather than a walking civil war. Rule 6. The embodied compliment practice. Daily, give yourself one compliment that acknowledges your body's wisdom. The body is the unconscious, Jung reminded us. Most people have declared war on their physical existence, treating their body as an inconvenient vehicle for their disembodied aspirations. This practice heals the split between mind and body that creates so much modern suffering. When you consistently acknowledge your body's intelligence, its capacity for pleasure, its intuitive knowing, its ability to generate and receive energy, you begin to inhabit yourself fully. Others are unconsciously drawn to this embodied presence. There's something deeply attractive about someone who has made peace with their physical existence, who moves through the world as an integrated being rather than a walking civil war.
Rule 7. The Daily Desire Archaeology. Each morning, identify one thing you desire without explaining or justifying it. Jung observed that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. I would add, everything we desire can lead us to an understanding of our soul's intelligence. Most people have been trained to distrust their desires, to see them as selfish or dangerous. But desire is psychic energy seeking expression. It's the libido, the life force itself, trying to move you toward greater aliveness. This practice develops what Jung called a capacity for solitude with one's desires, no longer needing external permission to want what you want. This creates an attractive self-possession that others find compelling because they sense you're in relationship with your own life force rather than seeking it through them.
Rule 8. The projection recall exercise. When someone irritates you, ask, what aspect of myself am I seeing in them? Everything that irritates us about others, Jung taught, can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Projection is one of the primary ways the psyche attempts to show us disowned aspects of ourselves. Instead of using irritation as evidence of others' wrongness, use it as information about your own internal landscape. This practice gradually reclaims the psychic energy locked in projection, making it available for creative purposes rather than reactive patterns. When you stop seeing others as repositories for your disowned qualities, your relationships become laboratories for mutual recognition rather than battlefields for unconscious conflicts. People sense they can be themselves around you, a rare and attractive quality in our projection-heavy culture. Rule 9. The Sacred Routine Disruption. Weekly, change one small routine in a way that creates aliveness rather than chaos. Jung understood that the psyche grows through what he called creative adaptation, responding to life's challenges with novelty rather than rigid repetition. Most people mistake routine for security, but unconscious routine creates psychic stagnation. This practice keeps your consciousness fluid and responsive. When you regularly introduce small experiments into your life, you maintain what Jung called a capacity for surprise, remaining open to possibilities rather than trapped in predictable patterns. Others are unconsciously attracted to this quality of aliveness, this sense that anything might happen in your presence. You become associated with possibility rather than predictability, with growth rather than stagnation.
Rule 10. The Evening Energy Inventory. Before sleep, identify where your energy went today and where it wants to go tomorrow. Jung spoke of libido, life energy, as the most precious resource we possess. Most people leak energy unconsciously through worry, resentment, distraction, and people-pleasing, then wonder why they feel depleted and unattractive. This practice develops what Jung called energy consciousness, an awareness of where your life force is invested and whether those investments serve your individuation process. When you begin to guard and direct your energy consciously, you develop what others experience as presence, the quality of being fully available to life itself. This is perhaps the most attractive quality a human being can possess, the sense that they are in conscious relationship with their own vital essence. Dear souls, we have journeyed together through the 10 sacred principles of the 1% rule, not as mere techniques, but as initiations into a way of being that Jung called the way of individuation. You see, the great secret that our culture has forgotten is this. Transformation is not an event. It is a daily practice of choosing consciousness over unconsciousness, integration over projection, presence over distraction, authentic desire over borrowed dreams. Each of these practices, the shadow work, the micro-meditations, the daily deaths, the strategic emptiness, they are not adding complexity to your life. They are creating simplicity through depth. They are teaching you what Jung called the art of being yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you somebody else. When you consistently practice these principles, something alchemical occurs. You begin to generate what Jung termed numinous experiences, encounters with the sacred, simply through your way of being in the world. People begin to sense something different about you, a depth, a groundedness, an attractive wholeness that comes not from perfection, but from integration. Not from having it all figured out, but from being in conscious relationship with the mystery of your own becoming. You discover that the most attractive quality a human being can possess is not beauty, not success, not cleverness, but the capacity to be fully present to life itself. To be, as Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime, authentically yourself.
This is the alchemy of desire, dear souls, not the desperate grasping of the ego, but the patient cultivation of presence that allows life to flow through you with increasing richness and depth. Remember, you are not here to be perfect. You are here to be real. You are not here to be impressive. You are here to be integrated. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to be authentically yourself. And in that authenticity lies a power and attractiveness that no technique or strategy could ever manufacture.
If this journey into the depths has stirred something in your soul, if you recognize yourself in these words, if you feel called to embark upon this path of small, sacred changes, then honor that recognition. Subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into the mysteries of the psyche. Like this video if it resonated with your soul's knowing. Share it with others who hunger for authentic transformation rather than superficial change. And tell me in the comments, which of these 10 principles calls to you most strongly? Which one feels like your next threshold of growth? Your sharing creates a community of souls committed to the beautiful, patient work of becoming. Until we meet again in the depths, remember this: you are not broken and in need of fixing. You are whole and in the process of remembering. Trust the process, honor the journey, embrace the 1% rule.